Good morning, Hollywood Haven family. This is After Dawn, the show where we sit down to have a cup of coffee with the cast, crew, and creators behind the Hollywood Haven Studios productions. I'm Solomon, and I'm joined by my co-host, Grizz.
Thank you, Sol, and welcome everybody. We got a fun show for you tonight once more. And we're going to be talking about Apotheopsis Season 2, Episode 7, Legend Part 1. And quite honestly, the band gathered round and threw a dank-ass barbecue for everyone they could really think to invite, honestly. And they had some really deep moments with each other and talked about a lot of sensitive shit. And here to talk about all of that sensitive shit, we have Gavin and BP. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
So I got a question for you because we are heading into just a short while. Thanksgiving is with another big time where everyone gathers around, has a whole bunch of food. So the question for both of you and BP, just like last time, pick a character that you like the most or maybe just haven't thought about in a while. And the question for both of you is, what is their favorite Thanksgiving dish?
Ooh.
I'm gonna so I have a joke answer and potentially a serious answer.
I think we accept both here.
Yeah.
Well, any member of the Tuatha, obviously their favorite Thanksgiving dish is any form of potato. Think the Morgan would probably... No, I feel like she would probably enjoy like a really good like holiday ham or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I was leaning towards with Clint is, a good ham, not store-bought and sliced already, but a good ham from a butcher, just slathered in brown sugar and honey and really baked in there. Slices of pineapple and cherries kind of stabbed into it. Really ultimate holiday ham. That's his go-to.
I don't know that she would be into all of the sweet stuff on hers. I think she'd like something a little bit more savory than sweet, but
Granted, but it honestly sounded like Gavin was just talking about Clint there for a moment.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying because I had also said the Morgan before that.
It does make sense that the Morgan doesn't want the sweet stuff, but Clint does.
Yeah.
Right?
Clint is describing a holiday ham as savory, sweet, and full of pineapple and cherries. He's a really nice guy. Anyway, just a hammy dude.
It's because he's a fluffy boy.
Exactly. But thank you for answering the icebreaker question. I love asking them because they're usually goofy, and the answers are either serious or goofy, and I love them. But Saul, take it away.
Okay, so first off, I would like to bring up the amazing speech that Clint managed to give after he was deep into his cups of what all was he drinking? Beer and whiskey.
Yep.
Anything that was there.
Yeah.
So good. It was so good, though.
It was such
the speech was fantastic.
Were you preparing for that, or was that off the cuff?
No, I was scribbling stuff down very quickly, trying to prepare for what would be Clint's drunken speech. And then about 3/4 of the way through it, I realized I didn't write any sort of, drunken slurring or anything to that effect. I had to kind of throw that in there at the last moment.
That makes sense. Well, I gotta say, you really managed to pull it off really well. I think it might be one of the top 10 speeches that we've had on any of the Hollywood Studios productions.
Yeah,
we've had a lot of monologuing.
We are some extra bitches.
That's what we do.
That's very true.
What better time to monologue than when your character has a dramatic moment?
And is very drunk.
Yeah. That's like the asterisk is also has to be drunk.
Yeah, that just helps, If you flub, you can blame it on the drinking and not your own poor choice of words.
Makes sense.
That was, I think, probably my favorite moment of the last episode was that, because I was completely caught off guard. I didn't expect the barbecue to be this big, like, session long thing, and I certainly didn't expect like a big dramatic speech, but it was exceptionally well done.
Well,
Drunken slurring and all.
Not to be mean, Beefy, but did you expect anything to take as long as it did in this season?
No. I vastly underestimated the stabilizing and forward driving presences that Chris and Sarah were, and did not realize how terribly off course Oliver would allow things to be without those types of figures to like help keep things on track. I really thought that Oliver would like dad the group forward, and he's like, "No, I've just given in." I was like, "Oh no."
He's like the dad from Twilight. After a certain point, he's just like, "Oh, but you're like 6. Okay, never mind. I give up."
Pretty much. That's a little bit how it feels like the season has gone, is that Oliver went from being the responsible one to just accepting that he's never going to have control again. Which has me deeply concerned for future seasons.
We were talking in the last Afterdawn too, and I brought it up to Gary, where I was just like, it's also in large part to Clint, because Gavin, as you're here, it's just like being a huge influence and allowing him to just open up his emotions more, because you've been nothing but encouraging to him the entire time and being like, "Yeah, I got you, bro. Do what you got to do. Go on, kiss the girl. Do what you got to do, my man."
Yeah, Clint is destined to be the ultimate wingman. And,
I mean, that's all fine and well, but the things that slow them down are not those moments. The things that slow them down is an hour and a half in front of a fucking gate.
Yeah, well.
Look, we didn't have a gate last time, and it still went all session. Something tells me it has less to do with the gate.
No, this past session, it was just because y'all got silly at times, and then I added in Overthinker as Kareem, Kareem number 2. And he is always eager to engage people in like extra roleplay opportunities, even when I'm like, bro, we have things to get done.
I think it was
That's
totally
okay.
worth it.
I've accepted that y'all are not finishing the labors until next season.
Just means you gotta make the labors they have left big and like bombastic.
I mean, it does happen to play into the fact that the most heavy of the labors are the ones that haven't happened yet. So,
oh no,
God, and the Aztec pantheon isn't the one giving one of the heaviest. That's horrifying.
Nope.
I mean, my boy ain't taking it easy on y'all either.
Nope.
Looking forward to that one.
Yeah. Since I didn't get to ask you really about it the last time, Gavin,
yeah,
what did Shango's overall message to Clint mean to him?
To sometimes still be the human that you were a long time ago. Not really long ago for him, but still, it feels a lot longer when you're out there adventuring and saving the world, doing these big, important tasks, and then you kind of just forget to kick back. And Clint has realized the importance of downtime, with not just focusing on his own barbecue, his research and relying on his friends, but the actual downtime available to him at the farm. Because before he became a Scion, he was a garbage man. He wasn't really able to afford nice vacations. He wasn't out there really living it up, going and partying and swinging from bars to bar. He was a homebody. So he accepted his Scion lifestyle, his heroic lifestyle, full hog, and kind of forgot some of that human past. And Shango really brought it back that, hey, you're not a god. You have some, human tendencies, and you need to tend to them. And it not only helped him, but it showed him that the other people in the group need it too.
Hell yeah. I mean, I was just like, your mom loves you. Stop it. Just call it.
Yeah, stop worrying about that part. That part's not the important part.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
He still is going to be worrying about that part, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when
I mean, that's fair, considering
Yeah.
who his mom is.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And of the two people in your band right now, who would you say has had the most influence on him as of yet?
On Clint, so far it would have to be Oliver. Oliver's been a voice of reason and a strategic influence that has shown him the value of slowing down every once in a while and actually taking in the options. Without Oliver there, Clint would have made a few more mistakes and probably not have come back. And he recognizes that. It's not to say Sticker hasn't really shown up and had Coda make an impact either. It's just a different level so far. And they've had a little more time together, this Clint and Oliver.
It's also a big difference in like the type of character. Like
Yeah.
Coda as a character is a lot younger than Oliver, both in terms of the stage that she's at in life and like her mentality about a lot of things. And I feel like she and Gavin are a little bit closer in terms of that sort of thing than Oliver is.
Yeah.
You know, so people respond more to people who are their opposite than people who are closer to them, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, they're better dramatic foils.
Yeah.
Yes, that was what I was looking for.
The fancy words.
I have a question about Clint.
Absolutely.
So we know that he's been helping Oliver get his, to put it a certain way, get his groove going. To actually like relax a little bit and to not just like hold things back to go all in, like how he did with actually talking to and being upfront and being very upfront and truthful with Asterope. But we also see that whereas Oliver is now seems to be very much sticking to just being with Asterope, Clint seems to be doesn't seem to really have someone that he's settling with. Does he ever think he'll ever settle down with someone, or is he now in the whole we're Scions, we're constantly moving, we're basically transient, and that's how he has to be?
Yeah, I think prior to Shango instructing them and guiding them and showing them the way that they still have mortal needs and relationships going on around them, Clint is going to lean a little bit more into that human side and appreciate that, you know, maybe I do need a longer term connection. For now, what I've got are my friends. It kind of showed up a little bit more when he called in Claudia, who was his most recent romance outside of the Dryads, and still was connected to her, right? Like it was more than just that one night that they spent. He's realizing that there's a past, the people behind him that are still maybe fond of him or look up to him. Otherwise, he's networked and connected to him. And seeing the human side means also accepting that relationship coming in. Whether or not he thinks he's going to wind up with somebody for a long, long time, that's still up in the air. He's not sure. He's also a little bit on the assumption that given that he's a scion of the Morgan, he's probably not destined to live very long. So he's trying to live a bright and flamboyant life while he can.
Oh, baby. No scion is destined to live very long.
Exactly.
It's not just the Morrigan scions, it's all of them.
But being a Morrigan scion doesn't help.
Right.
I mean, it's not any worse than most of the other gods, if we're being honest.
It's fair.
She's kind of important for the warrior kind of things and has a lot of bloody imagery. Death is always in the back of his mind, you know.
Clint seems like he's the kind of guy who actually likes horror movies, despite
Yes,
being
of
all
course.
bubbly.
For one, if you're watching it with someone else, they'll cuddle up with you and hold on to you because they're scared, and he's the big guy that's the protector in the room. And then on the other side, I like to feel a little uncomfortable. I like to see something happen on screen that, you know, it's not real. It lets me push my boundaries, but it's still, you know, it's something different. And he got to live through his own horror movie by going down in Xiaomi.
Fair enough. That would, in fact, do it for most people.
But what's his biggest fear?
Clint's biggest fear, his actual phobia it's like a split between claustrophobia and just a fear of caverns or caves or being underground. Someone brought up a very funny fear that I thought was amusing, which was essentially the fear of chairs. And given his past with chairs now, that might be up there. But outside of the irrational phobia of claustrophobia and cave-ins and things like that, he's more just afraid of being alone.
Aw, pumpkin.
Sweet baby.
That's a rough mom to have in that circumstance.
Yeah. And BP's over there just jotting down notes of how to torture people.
I'll be honest with you. When I mapped out the plan for the season, I had no idea that he had a fear of, like, caves. And then when I found out, I was like, oh, this is going to be a rough season for him. Okay.
I'm going to be honest. Before we started playing, I hadn't even thought of it. It felt like a good way of giving him a little fragility because he is able to withstand so much. And
he is pretty bombastic. Yeah.
Yeah, he can dig his way out of a minor cave-in if he really had to, maybe. But it's both the isolation and the separation, right? Like, if a cave-in were to happen between me and my friends, how can I save them? Is there a chance? And also just being alone in the dark, in the nothingness, you don't perceive anything around you. And knowing that there are monsters out there doesn't help it at all.
Actually, I got a legitimate question for you, BP.
Yes.
So after an entire summer, Clint's earned like a dot in stamina, right?
No.
I kind of feel like he did though, because
if Gavin wants to spend the experience on a dot in stamina, I will say that he is justified in doing so. But no, he doesn't get a free dot in stamina just because he slept with dryads for a summer.
It was like 5 months. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. You should
nice try though.
Put that in your journal, dude.
Yeah, I'll scribble that down real quick.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
All the farm work, tossing bays of marijuana. Surely some of it would have come back.
Yeah.
You are welcome to spend the experience.
Okay.
I tried, bro. I tried, man. You know,
I appreciate it. I'll slip you that $5 later.
Yeah, fist bump. Yeah, I got you.
I mean, hey, at least now you have reasoning for how you get the stamina as opposed to just buying it out of the blue.
That's true. I do like connecting those dots, spending experience on things that make sense.
Yeah, same. I also have a question for BP.
Serious as hell. Serious as hell, of course.
Serious hell, of course.
Yeah.
Are there any moments that you could see for the rest of this season that you are scared someone might not come back, might not make it out?
Always.
Good.
That's not just this season. That's any season. I don't pull punches with my parties. As my Wayfarer crew can confirm, we nearly lost 2 characters during the finale of Wayfarer.
Yeah, I wonder why.
So yeah, no, there's absolutely the chance that somebody doesn't come back. From this season, certainly, if things go the way I think they're going to go, and even more so from next season. So,
Who do you think is going to be the first one gone?
Dolgrim.
I don't know. So, so the reality is based on pure mechanics, I think the most likely one would probably be Oliver, but Oliver is a lot more careful about what he tangles with than Coda and Clint. So probably actually Coda. Clint, from a mechanical perspective, or from a character perspective, I could see, taking the risk and throwing himself in front of something in order to save somebody else, but he's also got the stats to survive a lot more than they do. So it seems more likely that it might be Coda. Coda also tends to act without thinking a lot.
See, also her snapping at Lou, who was on her side.
Right? Coda, I guess if you're gonna mouth off to any of the gods, he's probably the best choice because he's one of the more reasonable ones. Still a god, though. Still not a great idea.
Maybe it's just practice. Start off on the easier target.
But the flip side, though, Oliver also has this kind of deep well of self-doubt, and I think if he regressed enough, he's starting to crawl his way out of it and acknowledge that he's kind of a badass and he's really smart. But if something were to happen that would kind of regress that progress, I could see him getting it into his head that the world would be better off without him than without either Coda or Clint. So there's a lot of different ways that I could see this happening, and it really just sort of depends on what the situation is, who I think would go down first.
All right, so what situation are we facing next? That way I can prepare.
Oh, that's a nice try.
Dang.
It's very cute.
Thank you.
Admirable attempt, but no.
Okay.
Bring hot sauce. It's just a good idea.
Always have a bottle in your pocket.
Yeah. Well, that it does anything. I'm sorry. I'll let you in on a secret. I can't tell you either.
There's a lot coming, and I'm not really going to tell you what. I'll just tell you that it's going to be interesting.
Oh, you know what? One thing I'm mad about, Gavin.
Yeah.
Think I'll get any texts from Clint? What's up about that?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like what?
Oh, like what? I mean, pretty soon
he almost definitely got an invitation to the cookout and was just like, bro, I don't have time right now.
Yeah, Shango was definitely one of the ones to receive the invitations. But from here on out, what Clint will be sending him are kind of just, hey, how's it going? The very friendly greeting things and then checking in. Knowing a little bit more about Shango, he's going to start asking questions that pertain to the Pantheon or pertain to, his domains. Maybe more what we've experienced. So that downtime, that understanding that, hey, this guy knows not just the gods, but mortals too. So if I have questions about either one of them, I should probably go to Shango because Mom doesn't respond.
And when Mom does, she says, "You're an adult, figure it out."
Yeah, she's not very nice about it.
Shango, like, I got you. But
exactly.
Most of the responses you'd get are him with like famous people of color like around the globe, like taking like peace sign selfies with them, and that's all you really get unless it's something serious. like Serena Williams and him just like just chilling and like I don't know, like Tokyo just giving thumbs up. Like yeah, it's just be stupid shit.
He would be down for that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
He's got a friend among the stars.
Yeah. My life's in danger. That's rough, buddy.
Unfortunate.
Hey, Shango, things are going down real bad. I could use some help.
Thinking emoji.
We'll see when Oliver starts getting in trouble and Shango gets reached out to, what happens there. Help, he's becoming too confident.
His wrist is getting too strong.
It's off the charts.
I'll have to end it before it becomes too strong.
So is Clint trying to get the numbers of just any god that's coming by, or is he like going for specific gods?
Right now, it's kind of any god that interacts with him in a pleasant manner.
Fair enough.
And even those that have negative tendencies, as seen with his interactions with Gwen, if he thinks that he could help them in some form or fashion, he'll also throw his number that way.
He's such a sweet boy, and I don't feel bad for playing a mom who's not that attached.
That's okay.
I am curious.
Yeah.
I know that we've kind of like tossed out the format, and I'm supposed to wait until the end to ask questions, but
format.
Yeah, format what?
Format schmormat. I'm curious, what do you think is the thing that Clint like has to work on the most, like from a personal development kind of perspective? Not mechanics, but like as a person, what do you think he most needs to like improve upon?
I mean, the most obvious one is slowing down and taking the time to think before he acts. That impulse control is not his specialty.
He's doing better than Coda, so you can take comfort in that.
It's not quite as much of an accomplishment as you're making it sound, though.
Right.
That's true.
They also play off of each other in a very bad way where chaos just happens. Outside of that, though, it's his interpersonal relationships of these are people should be more than just contacts in a phone that you occasionally reach out to. Claudia being back in Scotland and
Ireland,
thank you. Her being back in Ireland.
God.
Hey, that's a bad part about me too, is that Clint and I both got that ADHD.
I'm gonna choose to believe that's in character.
Yeah. But for the most part, like, he has previously collected numbers and then not done anything with them. Every once in a while, maybe he's saying hi to him, but he's not really as social as he should be outside of his immediate surroundings. It's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. So that's another thing he's working on.
Okay. That's not the answer I would give, but
Ooh, I'm curious what your answer would be.
Well, now I don't know if I want to tell you.
Oh, but now I need to know.
I think that Clint needs to stop basing his self-validation on the validation from others. I think that he puts too much into what his mother thinks of him. And he wants that approval too much. And he needs to move past. He's at that stage that I think a lot of kids end up at when they're, especially in their like teens. They get it into their head that they don't give a shit what their parents think, but nothing makes them happier than hearing that their parents are proud of them, kind of thing. And I think that despite the fact that he's a grown man, he's still kind of there mentally. And that he looks for outward validation. I think that's part of why he took so strongly to Shango, is because Shango immediately like validated him and who he is. And I think that is something he needs to get better about. He needs to learn that it doesn't matter what other people think of you.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you were talking about how, like, Shingo was talking about enjoying just, like, the human part of you, which is kind of part of what he was saying. But like BP's bringing up, he was also saying just, like, the power of just being your own man. And genuinely, just like, your mother loves you. That's all you need to know. Now go do your thing. Go be you. And sure.
Right. But also, the reality is that he didn't even meet his mother until he was an adult, so does it really fucking matter what she thinks of him?
That too. But it's also, like, the kinda, because it's like, wait, I just met her, but now what? What do I do? Does she like me? Yeah. So it's, you got a very stacked character over there, my dude. It's really fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Morgan being this important is a lot to do with uh, the visitation, the fact that he's suddenly thrust into this world of demigods and monsters, and the one that brought him from that lifestyle of pure mortality, of mundanity, of uh, potentially being this great and powerful person, but never really getting to go anywhere or do anything with it, is the Morgan. Without her, he would not even be aware of this whole thing as far as he initially thought. Now he understands that there are wolves out there hunting him, that there are many different ways that he could have awakened. But from the beginning, it was without her, I would not be here. She knows a lot more than I do. I should be what she thinks I should be so that I can survive, so that I can be the best of the best Scions out there. I got to be the best Clint I can be, and if the best Clint I can be happens to be a Scion, well, that's what Mom says, and that's what I got to do.
I mean, I get that approach. I also think that part of his journey, at least I hope, if the story I'm telling works out the way that I want it to, by the end of this, I am hoping that he realizes that there are a lot of different ways to be a Scion, and you're just because it's what your parent wants you to be a certain way doesn't mean you have to be, or that not being that means that you're bad at it.
Right.
Like coming into his own and figuring out what kind of Scion he's going to be on his own, I think is infinitely more important than pleasing his mother.
Oh, for sure. And I'm excited to tell that story.
Because at the end of the day, most of the gods are really just happy if their kids, like, accomplish the things that they get asked to do. And don't particularly care how they accomplish it, right? This is the job you've been given, and as long as the job is done at the end of the day, I'll be pleased. More than this is the job you've been given, and I expect you to do it the exact way that I tell you to. That's part of why, they don't give you explicit instructions. They just say, go here, do this.
Oh, for sure. And that's the big reason of why Clint keeps reaching out with, hey, Mom, this is what's happening. Should we do anything? Or what do you think? And he keeps getting left on, not maybe read, maybe delivered. And he still has to make a choice. He still is moving forward. A lot of the times it's with the help of his friends, but he's still having to make decisions. And that reliance upon approval is eventually hopefully, going to fade away and give room to him kind of having his Herculean moment of, okay, this is me. I am the independent person of godhood and power, and well, maybe not godhood, but still of power, of influence, of protection and strength. And these are my capabilities, not because my mom said so, but because they are what I make them. Maybe we'll get there if Clint survives long enough.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. And I have spent a lot of time thinking about each character's like personal thing, their like big development thing that I want them to make as a person. So that's been a lot of fun because like I know that there's been a big focus on like Sticker kind of finding her direction towards godhood if she manages to ascend that far. If she finally gets to the point where she has her moment of apotheosis, what kind of god she would be. And that's very cool. But that's like, I'm allowing Sticker to drive that while I'm also trying to like nudge her character towards other types of development that are a little bit more short-term and feasible. You know, because the reality is that there's no guarantee that y'all are gonna manage to become gods, and there's not even a guarantee that the show's going to go long enough for that to happen. So.
Right. But we got that upward momentum, and hopefully that helps Clint's character growth.
I certainly hope that it goes that long. I have plans to get y'all at least close. You know, I don't know where we'll go past that, but
now I'm kind of curious. BP, if we do get to that point, would we be a part of the existing Pantheon, or would we make our own?
Well, there's a kind of, it could go either way. I would assume that you guys would want to like choose. Typically in first edition, the rule is you become a part of the Pantheon that you belong to. However, that's not necessarily a requirement. So it just sort of depends on what you guys what you guys end up deciding you want to do.
Fair enough.
All that to say that Clint is one of the few people who might actually need to read some Nietzsche.
I mean, if Oliver suggests it to him and maybe provides in an audiobook format, it might happen.
I don't know if anyone should read an audiobook of Nietzsche.
A guide to self-love and acceptance. Let's see what happens.
Chicken noodle soup for the soul.
Yeah.
There you go.
Wait, how many books did they publish? God.
A lot.
Way too many.
Far too many.
All right. So we're kind of already doing it, but do you guys have any more questions for each other or for the two of us?
Or for people down the line.
Yeah.
I am curious what everybody's favorite mythological story is.
Ooh.
That's a tough one. There's so many.
The Bible. No, I'm kidding.
So I really enjoy Norse mythology, and I really like the book that Neil Gaiman put out recently of just titled Norse mythology. He has an audiobook of it where he narrates it, and he's reading it for his kid. And it goes into one of the stories where Thor has mysteriously lost his hammer. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, how that happened. And has to get it back with the aid of Loki. And they have to go to Jotunheim, cross-dress, convince someone that, you know, they're a princess, that they're ready for marriage, and that they'll take, you know, this hammer as what is it, dowry or something to that effect, or just to get close to it, right? And to face this adversity of cross-dressing in this context of mythology, of old times where, you know, we didn't have these hang-ups on it. We didn't have all these concerns or worries. It was just a tool to get something done, a tool that you could do. It's cross-dressing. It's clothes. It's not a big deal. But they also have a lot of fun. The story is action-packed, and you get to see some side of Loki that you don't always get to see. I think it's a fun story. As far as my favorite mythological character, it'd probably be the Minotaur, but he's kind of an asshole.
Grizz?
I mean, off the cuff, like a small tangent and going into this. I'm the second youngest out of a family of 6 kids. So I had to learn how to quietly manipulate my big brothers a lot of the time. So one of my personal favorite stories is actually Hermes and Apollo. Just rolling through, stealing all of his freaking cattle and shit. And then Apollo's like, "You can't do that." Zeus like, "You gotta give it back." All right, I will. Hey Apollo, check out this stringy thingy. What? And then he just like, gets to keep all the cattle. Like that's kind of it's one of my favorites, and I think it's not talked about enough, but it's just like one of those small little origin stories because he was like literally a few months old when he did that. He was just a baby. But yeah, just one of the origin stories of Hermes, one of my favorites.
I generally just love any story that plays with trickery, and with especially when the trickery takes the form of puns or like double meanings of words. Like I think my very favorite of that is the blinding of Polyphemus. Nobody's attacking me. Like, I just love that sort of shit. That's why I love like double speak. That's why a lot of my characters, especially ones where they're like vampires or anything where they're trying to be hiding what they are, I love having my characters do double speak. And so that way they're never actually lying. They're just being very picky with their words and what they mean with them.
And I will say, any trickster guards, yeah, like any story I can find that's more accurate about Coyote or Nazi the Spider, those guys too. Just well, fuck Loki. He's just mean.
Yeah, Loki's an asshole.
Yeah, he is.
Those other guys can be fun, and then Loki's just cruel and tragic.
Speaking of that, actually reminds me. Perhaps one story that I'm a little more familiar with is the slaying of Fafnir, the old Norse legend of a guy who was not exactly any sort of god or powerful being, but just very demanding, had this way about him, and had this sword crafted so many times until it could carve through an anvil that it was forged on. Had to really plan ahead and think things through until he eventually got to a point where he was given the option of treasure, this infinite gold, effectively, and decided against it because he also saw that there's a curse involved. That's pretty neat. Like, it's kind of the antithesis of Clint's experience so far.
I think so I have 2 favorites, and they're wildly different. My one of them is that I love the story of how Anansi came to be the owner of all stories, and gained all of the stories from the Sky God. I fucking love that. My other is the story of Phaeton in Greek mythology. Which is the caution tale that I always have in my back pocket in case a Scion ever gets too big for their britches and thinks that they can do more than they can during a Scion game. I think because of how I started Apotheopsis, with people being like literally hunted down as normal humans, and that's how they become Scions, it's made everybody really careful. Except for Clint. But, even by comparison, you've never gotten so reckless that it's been necessary to break out the story. But Phaeton was the son of Helios, the god of the sun. And he, upon meeting his father, asked to be allowed to drive his chariot across the heavens for a day. And Helios knew that he shouldn't, but was bound by an oath to allow him to have this because Phaeton had basically like guilt tripped him for being a shitty dad, if I remember correctly. And so he allows Phaeton to drive the chariot, and Phaeton can't control it. He is nowhere near prepared for that level of power and controlling steeds like pull the chariot. And so he drives it and immediately like plummets towards the earth, and they're so close to the earth that they are like scorching everything as they go and like setting the world on fire, and Zeus has to throw a lightning bolt and kill him to make it stop. And yeah, that's like my back pocket. Like when people are like, why can't you just give us like bigger, better toys? Then we'll be able to handle the things that you want us to handle better. It's always in my back pocket to have a god. Have you ever heard what happens to Scions if we give you something that's too big for you to handle? And I just think it's a great caution tale.
Damn.
I also think that it was used as like one of the like sources of like why like the desert exists. I think that's like, you know, the this is how the desert came to be, and it was because he scorched the earth in this area and now nothing grows there. I think it's been a hot minute since I read something close to the source text, but yeah. It's a good story. I like it.
Yeah, I always like stories that like explain just basic natural phenomena, but you're just like, nah, man, it's not some dude clapping his hands in the sky. It's supposed to happen that way. It's okay. Any other? That was a great question. I actually loved answering that.
Me too.
All right. I need that both of you to do something for me though.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. For like 30 seconds, give the most like Scion-esque we just had a major victory battle cry.
Oh, absolutely not. Gavin is welcome to do that, but I'm not going to yell into my microphone and peek it. No, we're not doing that.
Yeah, I can't peek it right now, but I can record it later for us.
Yeah, do it up. Send
Yeah,
it to
I'll
Termite.
give it.
Yeah, send it to Termite.
Yeah. Once people are out of the house, I can really let loose and go full Clint screaming in agony, and maybe in victory, actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
For sure.
Yeah. It's just content BP. I'm so sorry.
It's fine. I live in a condo. I have neighbors on the other side of my wall, so I will not be screaming. But also, I don't want to like wreck my mic or blow somebody's eardrums out. I do have one. I have a question for Gavin. I have a lot of questions for Gavin, but I have one primary question for Gavin.
Okay.
Who is your favorite SPC that isn't necessarily voiced by like another quote unquote player, guest star, whatever?
Oh, one of your SPCs?
Yeah. I ask because I realize that it's a little unfair to ask you to like rank your favorite when one of them's in the chat with us. So it's just like let's narrow this down a little bit.
I mean, it's me, but go ahead.
Betty is always up there. A very matronly figure who knows how to cook and is able to keep people out of trouble. Yeah, she's way up there.
The dwarf mommy takes no shit.
Oh yeah. I mean, hey, dwarf mommies are where it's at too.
Fair.
From there, I can't imagine too many other ones that are stand out that
you haven't met a lot of them.
Exactly. Yeah. If it was to be from previous ones, maybe I could come up with something there, but it'd have to take me a minute. I'd have to rewatch them.
Yeah, I get that.
So far, how have we done? Maybe not in comparison to the timeline of what you've got in mind, but in at least becoming the Scions that you want us to be, or that you think that we'll turn into?
Okay, so there's a thing that has to be addressed at some point. And it is the fact that you all seem to be allergic to doing anything in the way that makes the most sense. Like, literally, NPCs have told you how to accomplish something that you're trying to accomplish. Like, go here and this'll work. And y'all are going to be like, nah, let's go do this other thing instead. And I don't get the impulse. I just don't. I'm like, how many times did somebody say go to a graveyard? You guys were like, we're going to go climb the world tree. I don't understand that. Y'all actively make it harder for yourselves.
Yeah, I think we've got a little bit of choice paralysis, maybe mixed with just fear. So when it comes to...
So you choose the most dangerous option?
It's the one that we think we know the most about. That's literally it. When it came to choosing between, go to the graveyards, go back the way you came in, which is still going to be difficult, or go climb the world tree, we were like, okay, how do we do it in a graveyard? Well, just go to the graveyard. Figure it out. Go to the graveyard.
Well, okay. I have a bone to pick about that, because it wasn't just go to the graveyard. It was go to the graveyard probably at about, when the sun is setting, and it'll happen naturally, is what you guys were told. Right. Like the veil part, you will be able to see how to get there. And y'all were like, nah, multiple times.
When we were talking about it, I guess we just were unsure or uncertain enough that when we were like, okay, hey, Oliver, the one that clearly knows the most about everything, what do you think about this? And even Oliver was like, I don't know enough to be sure for the graveyard. All right, cool. Let's go to the tree. We've all climbed trees before. Surely that's going to have a problem.
Let me tell you what. I had plans for y'all's first time on Yggdrasil, and it was not supposed to happen then. And I feel a little bit cheated, because I had to give you guys like the quick version of Let's Climb Yggdrasil, because I was like, I do not have time for this to like waylay my entire fucking season, because Yggdrasil on its own can be like a season's worth of content. There's so much that could happen on the world tree, and I was just like, I only have like an hour. Yeah, I was just like, fine, y'all are going to spend legends so that you don't run into anything, and that way I have an excuse.
I don't know. I think even though it wasn't exactly the optimal choice, we still had fun with it. The problem is us having fun and us being timely seems to interact in a fun way.
Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah, let's call it a fun way.
Fun is a strong word, but okay.
Detrimental, maybe? Who's to say?
Actively detrimental to the story, at the very least.
Oh, no, not to the story. We still want to explore the story and have fun with it. We're just...
I have a limited window to work with. It's detrimental to the story.
We clearly just need a bigger window. That's the answer.
Listen, I have other things to do, and the studio has a schedule that we have to keep to. I can't just run Apotheopsis every Friday for a year.
But can't you?
No, because other storytellers also want to run featured shows.
Oh, well, let's just play it when it's not featured. We can play in the background.
No.
Surely people don't want to keep up with what the characters are doing or the crazy shenanigans.
I'm trying to get an idea of what Clint's messages to the Morgan are like, actually.
Oh, we've had some. I'm sure that Gavin would be happy to read some of them to you.
No, I'm good.
That sounds like depression.
Because the reality is that he DMs them to me during session.
Yeah, they are active, as if Clint would be texting them. Whenever I say, hold on, let me send this message or send this text, that is both Clint and I actively typing something out. They're usually pretty tame, too. They're usually just checking in posts. Let's see. Hope your day is going well. We had a good climb up the world tree. Have you ever been? It was kind of peaceful and pretty. Ian says hi, and that's it. Like, she never responds because he's maybe not giving her enough to respond to.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's totally
that's
not
why.
because she's busy or anything.
I am reserving
God.
my comment.
You were what?
Reserving my comment.
He did invite her out to the party. And
Yes.
got nothing back in that one, too. That one actually did hurt him.
Poor baby.
On that poor baby note.
Yeah, on that poor baby note, I think that is where we will go ahead and wrap it up for now. Thank you both so much for being here to talk with us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Anytime. God damn it, Gavin. These episodes are released on Thursdays for those of us who are on the Patreon at the $5 plus tier. So if you want to stay up to date, feel free to think about subscribing. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait a month for these episodes. I'm Solomon, and this has been After Dawn. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. If you're listening to this a month late, you're missing out.